Well, I trust everybody hopefully had a really good week this week. Welcome to Psycho's Platters, episode 20. Yeah, we finally have gotten to the big 2-0. And you know what? I'm glad. I really love doing this stuff for you guys, okay? I'm going to keep doing it as long as I live and breathe. That's what I'm thinking here. So, today I thought I'd do something slightly different a little bit. I was moving some stuff around in my house here, and I came across a box that I, well, plumb forgot about for quite some time. So you're asking probably, well, what is it? You know, get on with it. You're long-winded. I know I am, but that's part of my charm. It ain't albums. No, it's not albums. It's not 45s. It's not reel-to-reel tapes. You remember those? I barely remember those. Or 8-tracks for that matter, or cassettes or anything else like that for that matter. Today, Psycho Platter. Okay, I take that back. I'm going to tease you for a second. I will. I'm going to tease you for a second. Because I did find a 45 on the top of this box. Sorry, my bad. I forgot that I picked this up well, let's see here. Sorry. When did I get this thing? It was one of those eBay purchases that I picked up a long time ago. Oh my God, June of 2000? Jeez, I've had it in this envelope since then? Now, in case you can't see this, it's Jan and Arnie Jenny Lee. Now, for you people out there, let's see here. Jan and Dean, of course, very popular. You know, back in the heyday of surf music. Okay, the sidewalk surfing. You know, little old lady from Pasadena, that type of stuff. Dead Man's Curve, which unfortunately would be a little prophetic later in the story. Chan Barry, of course. Well, he loved his cars, didn't he? He loved his cars and he loved to go fast. Who doesn't? The problem is in certain parts of the country, you better watch out where the hell you're going or you're going to get yourself some big consequences. Because Jan Barry slammed into a parked car on Dead Man's Curve. That is what I'm told. And I'm surprised he didn't die. Okay. Instead, he ended up with brain damage. And that was pretty much the end of Jan and Dean for, well, sort of kind of quite some time. See, that was in 1966, by the way, okay? But before Jan and Dean, they were Jan and Dean, they were Jan and Arnie, okay? On the Arwin record label. The condition on this sucker, well, I'm going to tell you it's at least probably well, let's see, one side's near mint, the other side's VG++. I'm going to invent that, VG++. Really nice stuff. I forgot all about this 45. Beautiful. So, you just never know what you're going to dig. But that's not where I was going on this episode, me, Mr. Long-Winded here. Most people don't talk about these very much. The art of the 78 RPM. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I got 78's to talk about today. Now, I ain't talking about your typical Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, whatever, 78's, the stuff that's super duper commonplace. We're talking about things that for the people in this vinyl community, and I'm not knocking those guys, okay, because I like lounge music and things like that. But, you know, I'm talking about that we're talking about rock 78's, rock and roll 78's, rockabilly 78's, country 78's, rhythm and blues 78's, okay? Now, I don't want to bore you guys for too long on this particular thing, but I kind of thought this would be something interesting to share briefly. 78's, of course, were created in the 1880s, okay? Pretty much Edison, you know, well, you know who we're talking about. You know, Thomas Edison. He came up with, you know, his Edison discs, and things just kind of went from there. And the 78 RPM was pretty much the nonchalant, guaranteed, accepted single format until 1948. Okay. Excuse me, 49, because February 49 was when the first 45 came out. My buddy Doug's got the first 45 too. Maybe when he starts his new channel, he'll show you that one, because it's pretty neat. It is. It was a demonstration 45 for RCA Victor. That's all I'm going to tell you about that a little bit. But up until 49, 78's were your accepted format. And of course, as you know, 78's are pretty damn fragile. I have accidentally dropped a handful in my life too. Thank God it wasn't any of the ones that I really cared about. But, so to go from there, of course, then, you know, it took a few years, like all other accepted formats, you know, when CDs came into active in 83, you know, look how long it took. It took 7 years. By 1990, that, well, was just about the death of vinyl, right? So it took 7 years. Well, in this particular case, it was about 1955-56 is when 45 started overtaking 78. Okay, so it was about another 7 years, sort of. But here's kind of the thing, you know, I mean, pretty much, after 1958, about majority of the labels stopped making 78s. Now, I mean majority, okay? Because back where I came from, up near Chicago, I know that one of the major pressing plants happened to be up near there, okay? And because of that, and they still had stock because they had to get rid of these things, you know, they had to. They still had supplies. They just can't sit there growing dust, you know. So I have seen in the past 78s from certain labels like Chess, Checker, Argo, I think maybe even VJ for that matter, where the 78s will be on extremely limited runs of up to about 1960. That was about the true cutoff of the 78s, was 60, at least in this country. And this, I just found out about this little bit. I was reading Record Collector magazine, and I didn't realize that, you know, the European and the rest of the world markets were a little different. Okay? Now, in my collection, I happen to have some, you know, some Teen Idol 78s. I've got some Elvis 78s. Okay? But I always, when I was younger, I said, hey, it would have been kind of neat in a way if the Beatles would have ended up on 78s. Well, guess what? They were, just not in this country. It was in India. Go figure. By early 1965 was the cutoff of making 78s in India. So I've seen pictures of the labels of all the 1964 singles that were put out in India were put out on the 78 RPM. Oh, how I would just like one of those. Seriously, that'd be like that's like a conversation piece. I would love to have one of those. But now you know. So in case you ever need to, you know, you and your record collecting friends have a bar bet, you could win some stuff just by saying, yeah, the Beatles made 78 RPMs. Okay, so what's Paul got here? Long-winded, I know, sorry. But I thought I'd give you a brief history anyway. All right, let's see. Like I said, a lot of this stuff's going to be soul and doo-wop and stuff like that, rhythm and blues. So, okay. Story Untold by the Nutmegs on Herald. Yes, yes, yes. And by the way, the conditions on most of these, you know, that's the other thing too. Finding Stone Cold Mint 78's, good luck. Okay? There's going to be some slight abuse to these things. I'm not saying it's impossible to find them clean, but I gotta tell you, in my 35 years of travels on 78's anyway, let's say 1 out of 100 I have found super clean conditions on things. Okay, here's another one for you. And as you notice, these sleeves are a little different too. Unfortunately, I wish they matched everything up. I'm sticking with you, Jimmy Bowen. He was a country rockabilly type musician back then on the Roulette label. That one was. Here's a good standard classic from the Everly Brothers on Cadence. All I have to do is dream. Dream, dream. Yeah, I know I can't sing. On Cadence. Really nice, very nice, clean label. Now, some of these ones here, I have to, you'll have to forgive me, sorry. How I ended up finding these 78's? Well, some of them were mailed to me from an off source down in Texas, if I remember correctly, years back. But some of these other ones, I literally picked up for $0.25 a piece at a resale shop in Harvard, Illinois, years and years ago. Like this Ivory Joe Hunter on Atlantic. Yeah, it's a red Atlantic on this one, but it's Since I Met You, Baby. Oh, yes, Ivory Joe Hunter, one of the wonderful 1950s voices of R&B. Oh, okay, here's one for you. This is a classic. Any format, you should at least have a copy of this, because this is one of the cornerstones. Rock Around the Clock, Bill Haley and the Comets on Decca. There's 2 different label variations on this. I'm hoping I have the other one in this box. I had the pleasure of meeting 2 of the original Comets that were on this record. Oh, fantastic. I wish I had it. I would have signed. I got him to sign the label, but I got him to get him some other stuff. Okay, now I have to confess on this one, okay? Maybe Doug knows a little bit more about this label variety. I've never seen ABC Paramount with a total black label. I'm so used to the other one. George Hamilton IV, A Rose and a Baby Ruth. Okay? Straight black on this one here. Very, very nice. Okay. I kind of like this one. American Recording Artists, says on the label. On the other side it says Phil Harris, Bob Crosby, Francis Langford, Hoagie Carmichael, with the Town Criers and Wingy Manoni. But guess what this is, though? On Peacock, the original Hound Dog for Big Mama Thornton. Have you ever heard this version? I love it. I like Elvis's, but this is raw. I love it. Fantastic. Another person that was previously on Peacock before he got started out, Little Richard. Little Richard started around there. Peacock and RCA Victor. That's where he started. Okay, remember I showed you that Rock Around the Clock? Guess what? This one's a little abused, but I still have it. I have it in this label variety too. Now, it says here the Decca Personality Series, right? But I think this could be an original. I think this is the original label pressing on this one. Could somebody enlighten me on this? Because this one here, I've never had a copy of this one before this. I've never seen one like this. I've always seen it with the other one I showed you. But really, really cool. Same flip side and everything. But original Decca with 1 star over it. Now this one here, Canadian. I can't remember how I came across this, but it's I'm Walking by Vance Domino on a red Imperial. Oh yeah, I love Fats. I want to see Fats before he dies. Okay. One of the cornerstones of country music. I know it's beat up, but when I find these things, like I said, these were like 10 cents or $0.25. Hank Williams on the good old MGM. May you never walk alone. And may you never walk alone in real life either. Okay. How about this one? On the Black Deluxe label, Ling Ting Tong. It's the Charms. Nice old school doo-wop R&B. I know Doug will get a kick out of this one. On Federal, the Domino's 60-Minute Man. Oh yeah, you ever heard 60-Minute Man? Go listen to it. How that thing ever got on the radio is beyond me. Pretty sneaky too. Yeah, some stations banned it actually back in, I want to say that was 56, 57. The label on this is a little rough. Boney Maroney. That's right, by Larry Williams on Specialty. On MGM, Tommy Edwards, It's All in the Game. I love that song. I do. It's a nice song. Okay, this one, I don't know about. I picked up, oh boy, Doug, you're going to drool. I know you are. Some of you other people are going to drool because I forgot I had these. I have some rhythm and blues on Vocalion. Yeah, I do. Sam the Hot Dog Man by Little Johnson. Oh, he's got a Little Johnson. I feel bad for him. I do too, till I get my Viagra. Hey, yeah, you may be laughing. You wait till you hit my age. You're going to find out. Okay. Hey. Not like I said, they need to be cleaned up. They maybe wouldn't look so bad, but still. It's Blind Boy Fuller's 10 O'Clock Peeper. Or how about this one? Here's an interesting clip. Looking for my woman number 2. Well, where the hell happened to your woman number 1, Blind Boy Fuller? I could have a comment for that, but I'm going to hold off on this. But on Vocalion, certain labels. Let's talk about this for a minute. I'm sorry to go and keep tangenting things, but certain labels. You find, you look, okay? Some hints here, thank God. Like, well, I knew, I heard of Blind Boy Fuller before I got this, but it says on here, blues singing with guitars. If you've never heard of the damn person that's on here and it says that, get it, because it's probably going to be something. With the Sam the Hot Dog Man one, it said vocal with piano and bass accompaniment. Just take a stab at it. I know everybody has a story of records that they shouldn't have let go. I'll tell you mine, okay? I told you about labels, certain ones that are important, at least in the rhythm and blues and that stuff, right? Okay. I was originally, of course, from a border town near, the Illinois-Wisconsin border. I went across the border. I can't remember why I was there, into Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin. There was a nursing home garage sale. I should have known, I heard, okay, anybody that is a blues person knows about the Paramount label, okay, that was put out in the 20s. And it was, of all places, it was in northern Wisconsin, okay? Robert Johnson, like I said, I think Blind Boy Fuller did some stuff. Blind Blake, Charlie Patton, a bunch of them did stuff for Paramount. And there's not that many copies to find. Once again, because of the breakable nature of the 78's, okay? That's part of your reason. Well, okay. Here's where the stupidity of me shows up, okay? Now remember, this story is about maybe 15 years old, okay? I came across a crap load. It was a small box of Paramount, 78's, but it was gospel. Now, I wasn't into gospel, but I should have got it, because anything pretty much on Paramount is not that easy to find. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments below. So that was my big 78 boo-boo. How about that? Everybody's got a story of records that they shouldn't have let go. That'll be another episode. We'll talk about this. Okay. Rockin' Chair to the Moon. Bill Haley. Not with his Comets. No. This is on Essex, okay? So he's with his Saddlemen. That's right. That's what they were called before they turned into the Comets. Essex was a Pennsylvania label where, of course, Bill Haley came out of. 1951 to early 54, if I remember correctly. Here's another one on Essex of Bill Haley. Rock the Joint. Oh, I love this song. Have you ever heard it? Oh, go YouTube it. Like I said, the conditions on these aren't great, but the point of the matter is they're still here. We still have them. Okay. Paul Anka with Diana. Yeah, I know. Teen Idol heartthrob, right? Kind of syrupy stuff. Huh. This one's all beat to hell. But I must have got this really cheap, too. An Amateur in Love by Slim Whitman. I think I know why I hung on to this. I used to have a friend of mine who I think unfortunately passed. She was a big Slim Whitman fan. Okay. Please Don't Leave Me by the Cardinals on Atlantic. How about that, huh? These red label Atlantics, they're the ones. Get this. I found those in that quarter shop in Harvard, Illinois. There also was a big box of 45s that took me about 20 minutes to get through. That's where I ended up finding, get this, some yellow label Atlantic stuff. It was in okay condition. Point of the matter is, you're not going to see that stuff every day. I snagged it all dirt cheap. I cut a deal with everybody. Okay. This one here, and some of this stuff's going to be questionable in nature, okay, but it was because of the labels that I snagged the stuff. I gambled with Love by the Four Tunes on Jubilee. Jubilee's another one of those labels that has some nice stuff on it. This next label is another one of those. They are more known for blues than anything else. On Apollo. Okay, now I got this because it said Louis Russell and his orchestra, but it says Sad Lover Blues. All right. Okay, another one. This one here I found. It's a promo 78. Okay, and it says Larry Darnell with orchestra accompaniment. But the song is called Work Baby Work, and then underneath it you get the hint of the word rhythm on a nice, beautiful, white OK label. Like I said, I'm sorry, these things are kind of not in great shape. I remember this tune. This one always get me a little bit depressed. On OK, The Little White Cloud That Cried, and of course, Cry from Johnny Ray. He was something else too, wasn't he, back then, for you 50s lovers. Love Walked In from the Hilltoppers on a red dot label. On Bullet, always a smash hit, it says. Francis Craig and his orchestra, Red Rose. Bullet used to have some country artists. That's why I kind of snagged that. Okay, this one here, once again, it's on Decca, all right, but it says vocal blues duet with piano accompaniment. The coldest stuff in town, whistling Bob Howe and Frankie Griggs. Never heard of them, but once again, like I said, it says vocal accompaniment and blues. Here's the last one I have from the pile. Another one, blues singing with piano, bass, and guitar. When My Love Comes Down by Georgia White on a blue Decca. So like I said, guys, that's pretty much the gist of all of this. You know, and with these things in nature, okay, they are hard to keep going, you know, condition-wise. These things are very fragile. They're made of shellac. Shellac, go figure. You know what shellac is? Part of the ingredient of shellac was the shells of beetles. No, not John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Actual beetle bugs. They would take the shells, crunch them up into a fine powder, and then make records with them. Go figure. That's kind of odd. I don't know whoever came up with that idea back then. But, you know, like I said, 78's are kind of an overlooked red-headed stepchild sort of thing, you know? Or they're associated with, oh yeah, those are the records for my great-grandma, grandpa. You know what? I'll tell you something. Some of the ones, okay, here we go. I'll give you one last story, and then I'm going to wrap this up. My biggest 78 find came to me in 2002, okay, back in Harvard, Illinois. I had a coworker who, unfortunately, their husband passed away. And she said to me, Paul, I heard you collect records. And I'm like, well, yes, I do, ma'am. And she went off and she goes, I got a bunch. They're from my dead husband. They're in the garage, which I'm like, oh, dear Lord, right off the bat, you know. And the weather in Illinois is, no, yeah, hot, cold, hot, cold. But she's like, take them all. And I'm like, whoa, you know, so I took them sight unseen, okay? And I said, well, how much do you want? Nothing. I just want them out of here. They're taking up space. And I could tell she was a little sad, you know, with all of the stuff, of course. Well, I went to go pick up the first box and almost broke my back. I'm like, oh my God, this is 78's. Well, I figured it out, and there was about maybe 578's altogether, okay, in this pile. And I'm not kidding you when it took me about a week and a half to 2 weeks to process through all of it. Okay? Most of the stuff started in the 20s. Nothing too shabby, you know, nothing real good out of it. But it stopped in 56, and that's where some of my fun begins. I know I've got another box with some more 78's because I know I didn't get rid of all of these. Needless to say, I found several Bill Haley Comets on Deccas, almost every Hank Williams Sr. and Luke the Drifter on 78's. I get through halfway through the stack, okay? And I wish I had this to show you, and I'll tell you why I don't. But ever since 1979, there was some particular records that I was looking for, and I thought someday, you know, maybe I'll find one. And I'm looking through the middle of this stack, and right there in front of my face, and actually it was in VG condition, I was very surprised, was an Elvis 78 on Sun. I couldn't believe it. And I'm sitting here, and I said it only took me 23 years. 23 years to find an Elvis on Sun. 78. I'm sorry the title is escaping me right now, but I can tell you that it was the most common Sun. I know it's really goofy. He made five records for Sun. The first two are the toughest. Number 3 and 4 are a little less rare. Number 5 was put out in 55 when he was getting ready to get signed to RCA. So it's a little bit more plentiful. But point is, a Sun is a Sun. I snagged it. And there was also a handful of RCA Elvis too, from like around 56 era on that. And some Ricky Nelson and some things. And it was just beautiful stuff. And I hung on to that Sun. I needed to pay some bills. I ended up in a divorce, and I was just about homeless. and I had to pay bills, guys. You know, I love my hobby, I love my music, but reality sometimes has to temporarily take over. I think you guys can understand that. I told you guys before, this is my 3rd collection, and this has been the longest running collection, and I hope to not have to sell any of this stuff, or at least a majority of it, but, you know, never say never, right? So, thank God at least CD technology is around. I could probably at least have time enough to burn most of these things, so at least I still have the music, even if I don't have the physicalness of it, but I hope to have this stuff and pass it on. So I know I'm long-winded. Sorry, it's almost 31 minutes, but I hope you guys learned some stuff today. Do not ignore 78's. Go through them all. I know most of them is going to end up maybe being something that you'll be like, oh, geez, you're trolling through it. But you just never know. Okay, you don't. For example, in 2012, someone found it was in a church rummage sale, like a church resale shop. They found the only copy. I think American Pickers or something like this is going to do an episode on this, or they did it already, where they found the only copy of a Blind Blake Rhythm and Blues 78 that was on Paramount. There wasn't another one in existence. They had no tapes to even go off of. And this guy found it. And I was just like, whoa, you know. So even in 2012, you still can find some treasures. You just got to do a little digging. That's all. So guess what? Until next week. Oh, sorry. I was so bad. I got shout-outs to give everybody really quick. I know, a real long episode today, but I'm going to try to spit this out really quick. Shindig Magazine, Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark. This is Rock and Roll Radio on Facebook. Weavy Ray on YouTube. New one I want to bring up to you on YouTube. He's another vinyl community. Big E, small O, big L, small O, big V, small O, big X. Elovox, that's what I'm going to call it. I hope I'm right. He's got a really good site too. Like and subscribe him. Okay? Thrifty Music Collectors Vinyl Group on Facebook. T-Mex 1959. Crate Junkies. I can't think of any more right now, guys. I love you all, nevertheless. Vinyl community, let's keep doing this, guys. Let's keep doing this. Next episode, I'll try not to hold the 33 minutes, okay? I'll try to make it a little bit more brief. Sorry this has been maybe a long one for you, but like I said, I try to pack it with information. Take care. God bless and rock on.